When I say it's weird, let me give one more part. It's because for the first 60% of the book, I was like, what is happening? I'm very confused. Hey, it's Brittany, aka Stylishly Brit. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to be talking about the books that I read in Q1 of this year. Listen, I got my Goodreads list ready, so let's jump right on in. So if you didn't know, I'm an audiobook girly. I started reading again or listening again last year after not reading since college, probably before college. So I'm new to this, but I've really been enjoying the journey. In Q1, I attempted to read 20 books. 2 of the books I did DNF, did not finish. And then I completed 18 books altogether. I try to keep it 2 sentences and below because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I hate when reviews spoil what is happening before I can even read it. So I'm not going to do that to you. I will never do that. So if you read one of these books, listen to one of these books, please drop your comments below about it and let's just have a whole discussion. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go in order just because of how Goodreads does it. It's just easier for me to go in order of what I read. So the very first book that I read in Q1 was The Silent Patient by Alex. I don't know how to say his last name. Lides. I don't know how to pronounce Alex, okay? I gave this one 3 stars. And in hindsight, I would say probably 3.5 stars. The book is about a woman who kills her husband. She hasn't spoken since the night. A psychiatrist decides to go work at the place where she is being housed to try to get her to speak. I caught on very quickly the plot of this book. And so to me, it was just like, come on and get to it. Let's get on with the story. So that's why I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Never Lie by Freida McFadden. Listen, Freida is my girl. This is only my 2nd book of hers that I've read, but the 2 books that I did read, I have loved. I know a lot of people say she's very cliche, but I love thrillers that twist and turn. So this was a twisty turny thriller. It's about a young couple, newly married couple. They are in the house hunting phase. They decide to go look at a mansion, and a blizzard comes out of nowhere and they're stranded there. Twisty turny. I gave it 5 stars. That's all I'm gonna tell you. The next book I read was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I gave this one 5 stars as well. I love characters that are just emotionally intelligent. You'll probably see a theme in this. And both of these characters were that. So I really enjoyed the story. It is the one night stand trope. So if you don't like that, probably skip it. But I actually love the characters and it made me root for them. Next book I read was Funny Story by Emily Henry. I gave this one 4 stars. I did read one other Emily Henry book, People We Met on Vacation, last year. I really liked that one, but I love this one more. It is pretty much about, without giving up too much, it's about, I'm trying to say this so I don't give away too much. It's about 2 people who date best friends. Things go awry, they end up becoming roommates. Funny story. That's all I'm gonna say, but I really love that. I really love that Emily usually gives really good background on her characters, and she did it again with these characters as well. The next book I read was The 7-Year Slip. This was my first magical realism book, and I'm just not a fantasy girl at all. Give it to me real. So I knew going in that this one did dabble with fantasy mixed with reality, but I actually enjoyed it. That's probably as far into fantasy I'm going to get. But I really did enjoy this one. Yeah, it's about a woman and a magical apartment. There we go. The next book I read was another Freida McFadden book, and it was The Boyfriend. I gave this one 4 stars, but in hindsight, 4 stars is fine. This one it's a good like whodunit story. It's about a woman, her best friend is killed, and yeah. I love Freida McFadden for her like twisty thrillers. This one again was another twisty turny. Probably not the best Freida McFadden book I read, but it wasn't bad. So the next one, child, Honey and Spice by Baloo Babalola. I hated it. This book put me in such a funk. It took me a week to read it. I was literally praying that I could finish this book. I literally thought it was going to be my first do not finish. I, by the strength of the Lord, finished this book. I gave it 3 stars. I initially gave it 3.5, but child, it was so slow. I'm downgrading it to 3. It was 3 stars. And I hate that because I started reading this one in February, so I was wanting to read all Black authors, and like I just hated that I didn't like this book, but I did not like it. For the first 60% of the book, I was bored to tears. I was bored. So this story is about a woman in college. She runs a radio show, and yeah, I didn't like it. The next book I read was Talia Hibbert's Act Your Age, Eve Brown. And last year I read the first 2 books in this series, the Brown Sister series, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown. So yeah, this was the 3rd and final in this series. And I really like this one. I gave this one 4 stars. It's a cute little read. Both characters autism, but she did make it like a crutch. Like it was just something in the background. It wasn't like their story, their full story. So I really like that. It's pretty much about Eve. She is the baby of the family, and she can't figure out what she wants to do with her life. And so she decides to go take a job at like a bed and breakfast. The next book I read was Missing White Woman by Kelly Garrett. I gave this one 4 stars. Okay, so in my review, I said if you like Lifetime movies, you will love this book. If you hate Lifetime movies, don't read or listen to this one. It was a lot. It was a lot, and it was a mystery. It's more of a mystery than a thriller. This gave me my Lifetime fix. I enjoyed it. It's about a woman who she just started dating this man, or she's been dating this man. They end up going on like a vacation getaway, almost like a staycation, and things happen. The next book is When I Think of You by Maya Ariel. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I will say I was initially drawn to this book because the main female character is from Arkansas. So I was drawn to this book because of that. And then also I think DeWanda Wise did such a phenomenal job of narrating this audiobook. So I think that made me like it even more. But this book is about a woman. She lives in LA, and she's stuck at like a dead end job, and in the midst of it, second chance love. The next book I read was Miss Wiggins, and child, Miss Wiggins, oh my God. Miss Wiggins by Mary Monroe. Y'all, this book, when I say it took me by surprise, like it went a completely different way than I thought it was going to go. On here, I gave it 4 stars, but I'm going to up this rating and give it 4.5 stars. I thought I was about to read a book about a woman like the 1900s, and it was that, but it was so much more. Miss Wiggins was a trip, and yeah, it was unexpected, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. The next book was One Summer in Savannah by Tara Shelton Harris. This, I gave this one 4 stars. I listened to this one as well, audiobook, and for whatever reason, I feel like I would have liked this one a lot more had I read it, because the audiobook narrator, I just did not. It was very robotic, like, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the way that she narrated the book. I didn't like the narrator. The book was good. I felt like there were some things, there were some things that kind of made me roll my eyes, and if you read the story, you might pick up on it. But the book is about a woman. She pretty much flees her hometown, starts a new life, has a daughter, and she's forced to go back to her hometown and face her past. The next book is Model Home by Rivers Solomon. I gave this one 3. This was a weird book. This was weird. Very weird. It's about a family, and I think I picked it up because it was a horror based here in Dallas. And I thought, oh, it'd be interesting. I will say the author did a very good job at calling out like landmarks and things here in Dallas, but the book was just so freaking weird. It's about a woman and her sisters that grow up in a suburb here in Dallas. Their parents are murdered, and then they go back to their childhood home to try to figure out what happened. Yep, that's all I'm saying. The next book is Dixon Descending. I gave it 1 star. I did not finish. This was my first ever did not finish. I could not. This book, I think I expected this book to be about, like, I love a survival, like natural disaster survival kind of. That's what I thought this was going to be, and it was not. The book, it's about a man and his brother. They go on a mountain climbing trip, but the story wasn't about the mountain. At least what I read, it wasn't about the mountain story. Like it would go between him being on the mountain with his brother to him being at school where he's a teacher, and then back to like when he played baseball. And it was just like, it was like whiplash. I couldn't keep up. So I did not finish this book. I might try to revisit it at another time, but as of now, I give it 1 star and did not finish it. The next book I read was The God of the Woods, and I actually read this one. We're gonna be discussing this book at work. we decided to make a book club, so we're gonna be discussing this book at work. I gave it 3.5. I gave it 3.5 stars. So it is about a girl who goes missing at camp. It's based in or set in the 70s in the woods. Very interesting story. I think because I listened to the audiobook, it bounced around in the like characters. Like it bounced from character to character to character to character, and like there's like 10 different characters whose perspectives we hear. Then some of them have nicknames. It was just entirely too much. I felt like I needed a spreadsheet to keep it straight. So because of that, the audiobook, I gave it 3.5 stars just because of that fact. The next book I read was Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. I really enjoyed this story. I love the banter between the 2 characters. It was just fun. I felt like they could have been my friends. Like they could be my homeboy and homegirl. So I really enjoyed like the story. It is some spice in this book. It's about a woman. She's about to turn 30, and she is wanting to find love, or at least a date, before her 30th birthday party. The next book is Look Closer by David Ellis. I gave this book 3.5 stars. Again, I love a zigzaggy, twisty-turny thriller. I don't know how to explain it because I don't want to give too much of it. Okay, a woman ends up dead, and it's pretty much like trying to tell how her death happened. And there's a bunch of twists and turns in there. That's all I can give without giving anything else away. The next book I read was Somebody's Wife by Robbie Renee. I gave this one 4.5 stars, but in hindsight, I think I'm gonna bump this one up to 5. Again, I love an emotionally intelligent character, especially if it's a man, and the man in this story was very much that. It's about a woman. She's been with one man her entire life. She met him in college. Things go wrong in their relationship, and so yeah. And so anyways, there is a lot of spice in this one. I do love that my two favorite book narrators narrated this book, so I just really enjoyed this story. I cannot wait to pick up her next book, which is Somebody's Husband by Robbie Renee, to see what she's talking about in that one. All right, the next book I read was Between Friends and Lovers. Shall I say tried to read, because this was my second did not finish of Q1, and I went all the way to 50%. I tried. I just could not connect to any of these characters. Like, I literally did not care what happened to them by the end. So I was like, why am I finishing this book? So because of that, I gave it 2 stars. It is about a woman. She thinks she's in love with 2 different people. That's it. I didn't like it. The last book that I read in Q1 was All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I listened to the audiobook, of course, and this was such a smart story. It was just so compelling. It's about a mom whose son goes missing out of his crib, and she is not letting up on finding out what happened. Again, another twisty, turny thriller. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. I would thoroughly love to see this as a movie or a mini series. I think somebody needs to pick it up and make it. It was so good. Oh, and the lady is sleep deprived. She hasn't slept in a year. It was just such a good story. The author did a really good job of like weaving motherhood in it, and like, yes, motherhood is a beautiful thing, but there's also parts of motherhood that's just hard, and she did a really good job of telling that story in 2 different ways. So yeah, those are the books that I read in Q1 2025. Let me know if you read any of these books, if you plan on picking up any of these books or listening to the audio. And yeah, let's chat, and I guess I'll see y'all next time. I'll see y'all in the end of Q2 so we can see what I read. Hopefully I don't DNF anything this quarter. Bye y'all.